Hey guys, Marshall here, and I just wanted to take you a quick look at a deck I've been playing with in Vintage. Yeah, you'll see 60 card deck here. I do like to play Constructed, and after having watched like LSV play Vintage at a few GPs along with Randy and a couple of the Raptor and Ochoa and stuff, I got interested. And then when it came out on Magic Online, I thought, well, maybe I'll take the dive and play some Vintage. But it wasn't until I watched some of those guys play on Magic Online here, and is also the Vintage Super League that Randy put together, and I was in. I was like, that format just looks way too cool to not play. And now that it doesn't cost, I mean, it's expensive, but it doesn't cost a ridiculous amount like it does live, I decided to jump in. So I had to start somewhere. This is the deck where I decided to start. I looked at an article that Luis wrote for the Mothership, and it was kind of an intro to Vintage. And so this deck was described as kind of a disruptive sort of tempo-based deck. And that sounded right up my alley. That's the kind of deck I like to play. That's my natural play style. So I decided to go for it. It's bug-colored, which we now call something I can't remember. But as you can see, it doesn't play all of the Moxen. It just plays the ones that are on color, plus Black Lotus. It's also got 3 Wastelands and a Strip Mine. Remember that in Vintage, there's a banned list, but it's only for cards that are like Dexterity or anti-cards, like cards that you just really can't play in Magic. The only cards that are playable in Magic, but that you can't play 4 of, are the cards on the restricted list. So that's these ones over here. Strip Mine, we'll see a couple other pop up as we work our way through the list here of cards that are restricted. And that means you can only play 1 total copy in your deck. So anyway, it's got a fetch land mana base like you see in these older formats with real duels, though, instead of crappy shock lands. These are just, straight up fetch, get a card. The triple Wastelands, probably just a concession to color. I mean, I didn't build this deck, so I don't know every little decision, but I'm assuming it's just because you want to have some colored mana. As the mana is pretty expensive. 3 Mental Misstep, those can be free. Yeah, it's just a recall. That's my boy. Brainstorm, also restricted, interestingly. A Flusterstorm, some Spell Pierce, Steel Sabotage is just sort of a one-of. You can tutor it up, or you can use it to counter some big artifacts that people will play sometimes, or return them to their hand. A lot of times people will power out a Blightsteel Colossus with Tinker, and Steel Sabotage can strand that Blightsteel Colossus right back in hand. Vampiric Tutor, just a tutor. And then Deathrite Shaman, you see that we've got 4 of them. This gives us a mana advantage. It disrupts graveyard strategies. With most Vintage decks have some type of graveyard strategy from what I've seen so far. And then can also just keep pressure on our opponent. Snapcaster Mage, pretty obvious with all these cheap, awesome spells. Dark Confidant is the card draw engine for the deck. I mean, you only get to play the 1 Ancestral, so Bob has to carry a lot of the weight there. Demonic Tutor, obviously. Scavenging Ooze, yeah, similar, just sort of a value creature that can disrupt opponents' game plans. Abrupt Decay is fantastic in Vintage. I've only played a couple of games, but every time I have, it's been really great. It just blows up combo pieces, all these things, and it can't be countered. That's huge. It's just massive. I can't describe how good it is to have the feeling of just like you just can't do anything, because there's so much counters that happen in this format. True Name Nemesis, I'm not really a huge fan of this card, but I'm still trying out the deck, so we'll see. I mean, it's pretty unstoppable. Vendilion Click, I love that one. And Double Trigon Predator, this does work. If you get to untap with this card and attack, it just starts blowing stuff up against almost every deck. 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor, just for that big, maybe the Black Lotus draw, or if you just need something to do late in the game, you can play a Jace and reload your hand a bunch of times, but you don't want multiples, I don't think, in a deck like this. And then 4 Force of Will, which while they look like they cost 5, they probably deserve to be down here somewhere. So that's the deck. Like I said, it's pretty much a tempo deck, and it's a resource denial deck that tries to just sort of get some pressure going with like a Deathrite Shaman or a Dark Confidant and put up something that they have to deal with while answering everything else that they do, hopefully. So yeah, that's the deck, and let's see how the matches go.